So the thumbnail for this video poses a couple of questions. What is fly fishing's problem with 11? And what the heck is TroutWise?
So what exactly is fly fishing's problem with 11? Well, according to the latest annual research reports, that's the number of days that the average fly angler gets out here on the river. 11 days. That's it. Not even once a month. And if we dig into those numbers a little bit more, we find out that 78%, thank you, little man, of fly anglers don't even get 11. They actually get somewhere between 6 and 11 days. So really just a handful of days, few times a year. Okay, so that's the problem with 11. Not enough time on the water. But what the heck is TroutWise? Well, TroutWise is a YouTube channel designed to help you be a more effective, more efficient, more successful angler.
Essentially, helping you catch more fish, specifically trout, on a fly rod while standing in moving water. In other words, the most traditional and popular way of fly fishing.
And it's primarily designed for a novice to intermediate angler.
That's not to say that everyone can't benefit from the knowledge, tips, methods, and education that will be provided in the videos. It's just that it's primarily designed to help novice to intermediate fly anglers take the next steps to becoming a better fly fisher. So how do you know if you fall into that category of novice to intermediate fly angler? If we look at a graph of the progression of a typical fly angler, we see that we all go through 3 stages: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And in order to move from one stage to the next, to advance along this progression line, we need 2 things. We need knowledge and experience. And our experience is our time on the water, our days on the river. If you think back to when you very first started fly fishing, the first couple of days you were probably bombarded with information. They shared a ton of knowledge with you. The rod, the reel, the line, the leader, the tippet, the knots, the flies, the cast, the drift, the hook set, the fight. Just a ton of information. But with no experience, that's all it is. It's just information rattling around inside of your head. So we need more time on the water, more days on the river to gain the experience so that our experience level will catch up with our knowledge level. Since it's typical for us to receive the majority of the knowledge that we need to get through most of the beginner stage on day 1, well, then it really just becomes a matter of how much time do I need on the water? How many days on the river to accrue enough experience to be able to move on to the next stage? And this is hard to say. It's going to be different for everyone. But on average, that's going to be about 30 to 45 days on the river. That's a lot. And this takes us right back to our problem with 11. Okay, I'm part of that 78% that only gets between 6 and 11 days on the river each year. This means that it might take somewhere between 3 and 7 years to get through most of the beginner stage. And that's actually pretty common. Right in here, the end of the beginner stage, the start of the intermediate stage. This area right in here is the focus of TroutWise. And the reason that we focus on this area is because something interesting happens right in here. As a fly angler, you achieve the 3 C's. Consistency. Finally, you can make a pretty good cast, tie pretty good knots, get a pretty good drift, getting pretty good at setting the hook. I can fight a trout with a fly rod and get it to the net. And I can do this pretty consistently. And that consistency gives you confidence. You're now getting very confident in your ability to go out and make that same cast over and over so I can get that same drift. This makes you feel competent. You finally, after all this time, after all these years gaining all this experience, you finally feel like a fly fisher. You feel like I can take my waders, my boots, my rod, my reel, my net. I can head out to the river. I can make casts, get drifts, and I can catch trout using a fly rod. These are all good things. It's taken you a long time to get to this point, and they're all good things. But there's also a very unfortunate thing that happens right in here as well. And it happens to the vast majority of fly anglers. What happens is they continue to take trips to the river. They continue to go fly fishing. But every trip they take seems to be pretty much just like the one before. They seem to always catch the same number of fish. No matter how many trips to the river they take, they seem to always more or less catch the same number of fish. The reason that this happens to them is that they've forgotten that we need two things to progress as a fly angler. We need that experience, but we also need the knowledge. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself on this plateau where you continue to take trip after trip after trip to the river, but you fail to progress as a fly angler. And far too many fly anglers spend the rest of their fly fishing lives on this plateau. In the beginner stage, about 20% of what we needed was knowledge. The other 80% was time on the water, time to put that knowledge into practice and gain the experience needed. As we enter into the intermediate stage, that 20-80 ratio flips around and becomes an 80-20 ratio. The knowledge becomes much more important. In the next video, we're going to look at what that 80% consists of. So thank you very much for watching. We will see you in the next video.